responding in this way because, well, this is what we do at Zenny62 Media. Hold on a second. 1 second. All right, at any rate, Charlie Pines, a fellow who's been around for quite some time in Oakland. He is an accountant, and like Lynn Raphael, who ran for at large a few years ago. And so because of that approach to life, he really is good at seeing details that others miss. And so twice now, he's been kind enough to pass along to me concerns about Oakland District 4 council member and Oakland mayoral candidate Sheng Thao. All right. Now, I play this entirely different. What I call the old style, Bay Area, John Muir-based, I'm smarter than you approach is really just a cover for how a person really feels, rather than that person saying, hey, I don't think that you're right because of your style, or maybe even that person has an issue with what color and ethnicity the candidate is. Rather than say that, they look for something that in their view is technical, okay? I don't play that. If the person doesn't know what they are talking about something, I'll say so. But I'll also talk about how they conduct themselves. And my issue with Sheng is simply that she is destructively ambitious. With me, she schedules a meeting to talk about enhanced infrastructure financing district legislation because she doesn't know about it. I know about it. She doesn't understand tax increment financing. I've done many thousands of calculations. But she doesn't want anybody to know about our February 2nd meeting. Why? And then when I say, hey, look, I want to be hired as a consultant. I don't want you picking my brain for free. She always says we already have Larry Cosma. Well, Larry doesn't know how to do tax increment financing calculations as well as I do. All right? Period. And it is not out of line for me to say, if you're going to use my expertise, I want to be compensated for it. Sure, I own my own media company, but what you do is, in all cases, you disclose, right? That's it. It's what you're doing. I'm not saying right to you. I know this better than you. All right. So anyway, I don't like that Sheng conducts herself that way. And it pains me to say this because Sheng is someone I've really liked over the years from when she started working for Rebecca. All right? That was a different Sheng Thao. This Sheng Thao is more stuck on, it's almost like she's working out a trauma that occurred to her, happened to her at the hands, presumably, of her ex, and she's doing this to make her child proud. I get that. It makes me cry. I'm serious. I'm not saying that, okay? All right? It makes me cry, okay? But what Sheng has to do is temper her desire to get there and make sure she's treating everybody fairly and properly along the way, not just certain people or hurting people she thinks she can hurt, like me, okay? All right? So that's my issue. Then you've got Dan Bornstein at the East Bay Times, all right? And I haven't met Dan in person. I don't know Dan. Apparently Dan used what I call the old style John Muir, you were not smart enough to handle this sort of thing, which, frankly speaking, historically has been a cover for white supremacy. I know this better than you. Well, you know what? That says nothing about how good a leader a person's going to be when they get in the office. It says nothing for how compassionate they will be. It says nothing about the stuff that really matters about running a city. All right? It doesn't help. Okay? You can have great leaders who maybe are not up on all the details, but it doesn't mean that they're not a great leader. So there are people who want to latch on to that because they culturally, I guess, I don't know what's driving them, are afraid to look and just basically say, I don't like that person because of this. And maybe they need to examine their real reasons for not liking Sheng. Okay? But I got a reason, not I dislike her personally, but I don't like the way she's handling her campaign and presenting the kind of mayor she's going to be. All right? Charlie has a different tack. So does Dan. But here's what Charlie presented to me. You be the judge, okay? In a video, Sheng talks about how a group that she grew up with encouraged her and gave her the impetus to go to law school. And so it said, go to law school. So that she said that's what she did. So you're left with the idea that she went to law school, but Charlie checked. She didn't go to law school. But here's the thing. She got a legal studies degree at Cal. Legal studies. Now that's not law school at all. But technically, it can be said to be the first step to law school, and maybe you can't afford law school, so you do legal studies. I get that. So that's why I don't blast Sheng for that. She's not in a place where obviously she could afford law school, but she was able to get a legal studies degree, and that was smart. But see, here's, again, where I criticize Sheng. All she had to do was play it straight. If you tell the real story, people will love you. And that's what Sheng is running up against. She's not telling her authentic, she's not being her authentic self. You understand what I'm saying? Sheng is not being her authentic self. Where she could have said, you know, I'll insert myself in her position. Because when John Russo was Oakland City Attorney and was friends with the late Roger Hughes, who helped me on my Oakland Super Bowl effort when Roger was on the Oakland Super Bowl 39 bidding committee that I formed and the Oakland Alameda County Sports Commission. They took me to lunch at Krogan's. Used to be called Krogan's down there because they had two Krogans, one in Montclair and the other downtown. Then they changed to Max's. Anyway, they took me to lunch and said, you know what? You're already a lawyer. You just need the paperwork. And Russo was saying, go to law school. In 5 years, you'll make $500,000. They were that certain of me as lawyer. But look, they didn't want to bankroll me. If anyone can say anything, right? But when it comes to meaning it, that's where the money rolls, right? They didn't want to help out. So what was I supposed to do? Oh, yeah, great, guys. I appreciate that. Glad you think I'll be a great lawyer. That's kind of the position Sheng was in. All right? But the difference is that she didn't tell her authentic story. She couldn't afford to go to law school. I get that.